So today's topic is, should you give more than you receive? So we're continuing on with our leadership topics and using John C. Maxwell's Leadershift as our guide, our textbook. And he has a very simple formulation of what we should do as leaders. And that's we should be changing our focus from receiving to giving. He says, am I trying to add value or take value? Am I focused on receiving or giving? And he makes just a very blanket statement. Good leaders shift from being self-focused to others-focused. They give more than they take. And this was a message that I felt particularly convicted of today, as I don't know, I just seemed to be having a bad morning, bad weather outside in Chicago or whatever. But certainly this is something that, I struggled with over the years, and this is not, I don't think, a new message that has anyone heard. I mean, if you follow a lot of the sort of, leadership or marketing gurus like Gary Vee or others, they'll tell you, you got to focus on the other person, focus on what you could do to them, for them, how you can add value to them, and don't worry about what you're going to be getting in return. And so as I was getting ready for this and sort of taking the train down, I did a Google search, as I think most people do, on how can you change your attitude. I assume Maxwell is going to go through this in the book, but wanted to sort of get a head start, because for me a lot of these things are sort of mindsets, and it's not something that you can just flip a switch and all of a sudden you're going from being self-focused, or at least trying to maintain a balance between receiving and giving, to being completely other focused and wanting to provide value without any regard with what you get in return. And so I really found two things interesting when I did a Google search. The first thing that I found was a whole line of articles talking about that it's easy. These people were finding it easy to give and hard to receive, which I found interesting. It was not at all what I was thinking about, not at all what I expected to find. I don't know. It's certainly not true in my case. I mean, I think sometimes I find it hard to receive compliments, but other than that, maybe that's not a personal problem that I have. It's a problem that maybe other people have. To me, the problem that I have on occasion is having sort of expectations that I place on others when, after I give to them. So, I give, compliments, or I, do things at home or whatever. And then I expect, well, I did this, so someone else should do this for me. And Maxwell's statement sort of flips that around and says, and again, it's not a new message, but that you really need to, don't worry about what you're going to be getting as a result of giving. Should just be giving on its own. And so, again, I find that a very hard statement. I think a lot of attorneys, just a lot of people in general, I think would find that difficult. And so another article that I found that I thought was a little more helpful is, number one, you need to sort of know what your expectations are, and to let the other person know what the expectations are. So if you're giving, if you're doing something with an expectation that someone else would, well, let me just take a step back. I think there's a difference between giving without any expectations, and then on the other hand, having no expectations at all. So if you bring this to a sort of law firm environment, certainly if you're a supervisor supervising younger attorneys, supervising your support staff, other staff in the office, certainly you're giving to them. If you're an owner of the firm, you're giving them a paycheck, you're giving them guidance. We talked yesterday about, how you can add value to them and make sure that you understand where they're coming from because you want to retain them. On the other hand, that doesn't mean that there's no expectations at all, because certainly, it's a job and you got to do things. And, I think that extends even to, things like family life. Certainly, kids got to go to school and other people have other responsibilities. And so that's expected. And so I think the important thing is if you have certain expectations placed on somebody in your own mind, you need to let the other people know what your expectations are. I know it seems very, very simple, but, and maybe it's just a problem that I have, that oftentimes I have unmet expectations on other people because I don't really tell them, what those expectations are, what I want them to do. And so that's certainly something I think, I'm going to work on. And, if that's a problem that you have, you should work on this as well. If you expect certain things to be done a certain way, you should tell the other person that. If there are things that you want them to do or need them to do, then they should, you should tell them, because, maybe it's just a guy thing, but oftentimes, I think that other people are mind readers because I don't necessarily tell them, what I want them to do. And so, anyway, that's, I think, a very important part of this game is that if you have expectations, you need to let the other person know. On the other hand, and that'll, I think that's going to free you up to give more without expectations. Because if you've already told them, look, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and that's part of their job responsibilities, and, and you've told them I expect you to meet this, or these are my wants and wishes, and that sort of thing. It frees you up, I think, to give without any additional expectations. You've already told them what sort of the minimum threshold of where you want them to be. And then you're going to be able to help them to meet those expectations by adding value to them and then going above and beyond. Because I think, what we talked about yesterday is, most people want to improve. Most people want to advance in their careers. So one way to help them to do that is, number one, help them meet those expectations. But number two, you can add value on top of that. Once they already know what those expectations are, you can add value on top of them to help them meet those expectations and to go beyond. And then they're going to have an additional set of expectations once they, get a promotion or a raise or a bonus or what have you. So I think that is the important mind shift I think that we need to make. It's not as simple as just saying, well, give more than you receive and don't expect anything to come off the top of that in return to you. I think what you need to do is, what I need to do, frankly, is lay down those minimum expectations and then see how you can add value, and they can meet those expectations and go above and beyond that. So I think, that's a message that I think we all, or at least certainly that I needed to hear. What we're going to be talking about over the next few broadcasts are the specific things that we can do to change that focus from receiving to giving. And these are some examples, and we're going to go through them, I think, one by one over the next few broadcasts. And as you know, I keep these pretty short, about 10 minutes. And so what we're going to be talking about is focus on adding value daily, adding as much value as possible, as often as possible. Never wait to add value. Give without keeping score so motives stay pure, and welcome any return as an unexpected blessing. And I think, and I'm not sure if he's going to talk about this or not, but setting those expectations and helping them meet those expectations on the top, or on as a floor, that's really going to get us, I think, to help change that mindset from being, and maybe it's not even selfish. It's just you expect people to meet job expectations, family obligations, that sort of thing. And you're going to be able to add that value on top of what those expectations are. So, I'd love to hear your comments, and let me know. I mean, is it a problem for you that, do you have a hard time receiving? I don't know if that's a real thing or not. Maybe it is. Do you have a hard time not telling people what your expectations are? I would love to hear your comments as well. So please, below or over here, wherever it is that you're watching this, or listening to this on social media, either on video version or podcast. Love to hear your comments. If you're listening on the podcast, you can find me on social at Attorney DSY. So please, reach out to me on social. Love to hear your comments. If you need an attorney or want to refer a case, you can call me at 312-239-9722, or you can email me at dscriven-young at pecklaw.com, PECKLAW.com. So have a great day or night, and remember to fight for the lifestyle that you want and to become that rainmaker that you need to be.